everyone, and welcome to Real Talk. Wait, no, this isn't Real Talk. Real newsreel. Be real, real me. Oh, wait, okay. Welcome to Real News. That's correct.
Today on Real News, which is a beloved and long-running show on TV 10, I've never heard of that Real Talk, we'll be talking about our favorite news-related movies, as we always do.
Well, awesome. News-related movies. I forget that we've got the handhelds now. LOL. Why don't you guys get us started? What do we got here?
We have Morning Show, which is based around a true story and is kind of depressing. Actually more depressing and realistic in how bad our society can be. But
I love our society.
yes, we live in a society.
Well, I think as far as like TV shows about news goes, I think this one is a really interesting one. It definitely, like you said, draws attention to some things in society, and it stars it's a star-studded cast. I know the first person that comes to mind is Jennifer Aniston, because she's got a really awesome performance in that show for sure. But it's just a really interesting one. Has anybody else seen it? No.
Yes, but only parts of it. I may have skipped through a majority of it because I totally watched it legally.
We love doing things the legal way here at TV 10.
I mean, I watched a couple clips last night, and it was pretty funny and good. And I like that it relates to like real world situations that everyday journalists have to face.
Yeah, true that. I think our second one on the news category is a little less serious, but they kind of tackle kind of similar topics a little bit sometimes.
I would say, yeah, of just the concept of feeling like you're going to get replaced and not being like, the constant fear of losing your own show because it's your home, it's where you are, it's what you enjoy doing, and then feeling like, oh, because I'm getting older, they're going to just replace me with someone else with better ratings.
Yeah, definitely. Sam, what do you have to say about Anchorman?
I have never seen Anchorman. I don't think I've seen any of the shows or movies on here that are news related. I definitely should. Like, a lot of them sound fun. I know I've heard of, I can't remember which one. I think I've heard of Newsroom. I don't know if that's one we're talking about, but I've heard about that. But I've not seen any of these, so.
Anything in the back to add, Eli? No?
I mean, it has Will Ferrell in it, so it has to be a comedy, right?
Right.
There's a certain amount of quality that Will Ferrell brings to everything, so I feel.
Very true.
Awesome. Well, what else? Do you want to move on to the next category?
Sure, I guess. Whether or not, here we come.
It's weather.
It's weather. Yes.
Howdy,
think we
folks.
know.
You ready to go chase some tornadoes?
Yes.
Sounds like we know which one we're starting with.
Yes.
I don't think actual tornado chases would look like. I think they'd look more like nerds.
They would. They have armored vans and vehicles. It is a safe, quote-unquote, safe practice. I do not recommend
Quote-unquote
going
safe.
outside into a tornado. I
Oh,
have.
man.
I don't recommend it. You will be scared out of your mind. My grandpa decided to cut down a tree during a tornado. I went out to make sure he was alive.
No
I was
idea.
8. I don't recommend.
I used to have nightmares about tornadoes as a kid.
Yeah. Thoughts on Twister?
Well, the new one, I liked it. I've seen the original one as well. I thought that the new one, was less scary. I'm not sure why, but I, like, the original one scared me. Because I watched that, like, when I was, like, a decent age, so I wasn't, like, really young. But I like both of them. I think they're both really good. Yeah, I don't know. I think they're both nice. And I don't know. I think even with the older ones, like, it doesn't look super, like, unrealistic. You know, sometimes with weather movies, like, the CGI and that kind of stuff can be really bad.
Like Sharknado.
Yeah, but I feel like, at least if I'm remembering, I think even with the original, it's really not too bad of a movie in that sense as well.
I just want to say, if you replace the sharks in Sharknado with Alligatornado, you'd have all my nightmares when I lived in Florida.
You would. That has happened in Florida, though, already once. So I don't recommend living in Florida. Actually, maybe. Live wherever you would like. But there is an alligator pond that is known to have tornadoes and or hurricanes pass through where they get lifted off the ground and flung out through the neighborhood.
Why did they live there then?
Because cheap housing prices?
No, the alligators.
Because they lived there first.
But the tornadoes come every time, and who cares?
I haven't actually seen the new one yet, but I really, really like Twister, and I just watched that one for the first time not too long ago. So I'm excited to see this one. I mean, it's got Glenn Powell. I think that's why we put it in here. Not gonna lie,
Maybe.
snuck in a Glenn Powell mention. You know, big fan. But other than that, like the original it's scary and it's fun, and for me, it's one of those movies that's kind of like it kind of has a similar vibe to like Jaws or Jurassic Park, where it's like kind of a realistic but like fun, science-y like scare to it, and it's not like overtly horror or anything like that. But I think it definitely, you know, they both kind of get your blood going a little bit, and not just because Glenn Powell's on the screen because you're reenacting a tornado in your brain, but I thought that the first one was really good, and I'm excited to watch the second one.
Yeah, for me, I watched I watched the original Twister with my dad a lot growing up. Obviously, it was made a long time before I was born. But I think Twister's, I was a little skeptical going into it, but I think it was a good modern approach, and I think I was actually really impressed with how much talk of technology was in it and surrounding around their tornadoes. And yeah, I think it was really good. I like both of them, and I thought the new one was good.
I also have never seen this, but I have been in 2 separate tornadoes. Also would not recommend. I did stay in a metal building during one of them, so would not recommend that. So I'm actually excited to watch this. It also has Anthony Ramos in it from Hamilton. And he's been in a couple other things that I'm not remembering right now. But I want to see like how that compares to my experience because, well, I was in a metal box, but they're out seeing it. But I did see it when I drove past to go home, so.
I guess you could say they're in just a significantly less secure metal box.
I would also say that it was interesting to see the comparisons between the two, like how they changed certain things that were in the original movie to this movie. You know, like her story was a little bit different and how she suffered. Like the original, it was her father that she lost, where this one, it was like her really close friends and I think her boyfriend that she lost. So it was interesting to see. It was interesting to see
Spoiler
those
warning,
comparisons as well, along with how they like used Dorothy. So I thought that was also really cool that they still incorporated a lot of those, but made those small changes as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, moving on, we also have San Andreas, which I know you're really excited to talk about, starring
Yes.
Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Yes, I haven't seen it in a while, but I think it's a really good movie. I would say that this one is definitely, in my opinion, way more intense than the Twisters. But it's a really, really good movie. It's just like they're in San Andreas, obviously they're in California, and it's basically just earthquakes keep hitting, and it ends up hitting like the fault line, and that's like the majority of the whole story. And it's focused on Dwayne. I don't remember his character's name, and his family, and how they're impacted through the movie. And I don't know how to explain it that well, but it's a really cool movie, and it's really intense, but it's fun.
I just remember the tsunami like passing over the Golden Gate Bridge.
Yes.
I can say words. And just everything getting absolutely obliterated.
Yeah, that's the majority of the movie is just everything getting completely destroyed.
Yeah, I remember this one, I think, came out in theaters when I was in middle school. So it was, I think, might have been 6th grade, but we're like doing a field trip to the movie theater and you had your choice. So San Andreas was definitely, I think, my top choice. So I saw it in theaters. And I just remember, I mean, we had talked about tectonic plates and earthquakes and stuff like that. So I knew about the San Andreas Fault. And I think it's definitely an interesting story because of all of the earthquakes that do happen and the natural disasters that they see along the San Andreas and Hayward faults over in California. So it's another, again, kind of fun, nerdy, science-y, but also like intense and exciting. And, you know, you have that adrenaline for sure watching it. I think people have an odd obsession with disaster movies and like the end of the world. So, you know, catastrophic disasters like what you see in San Andreas are like not too far from our reality, which is scary, but also like, I don't know, it just piques human interest, I think, a lot, you know, preparing for disaster and thinking about things like that. It's interesting why people like these movies so much, but I'm definitely one of those people.
Imagine how big the tsunamis are in Hawaii in this universe. Like, if all that's happening in California, they're getting all the waves.
Yeah, right? What about in the back row? Anybody got anything?
I don't know.
I mean, when I was reading the synopsis, it seems very interesting. I like that it has a lot of different aspects because I took a meteorology class in high school, and I loved learning about earthquakes and that kind of stuff. So I think it'd be really interesting to watch.
Really cool.
All right, well, moving on to our lightning round of sports movies.
And a TV show, Ted Lasso,
And
great
TV show.
TV show.
Yeah.
Recommend, 100% recommend. I'm
Well,
actively watching
Might as well start with that one.
Yes.
Ted Lasso, it's the story of an American football coach.
Who then goes and does soccer, but it's called football there because they.
Because he moves to Britain. If you
Yes.
can't tell from the teacup
teacup
with the
of
British
Henry
flag
David.
on it. Yeah, it's just a really, really good show, really funny, really heartfelt. Yeah.
Yeah, I was skeptical of watching this one because I wasn't really big into soccer before watching this show, and I also thought it was going to be a little corny, you know, just like the plot of having an American coach and go overseas and soccer. But it's great. It's really funny, and it's also heartwarming, and it's just it's very entertaining, and Jason Sudeikis is great in it, and I also think the character developments are really good in it as well. You see a lot of growth, especially with characters like Jamie Tart, and I really like his character a lot too. And so, yeah, I feel like you see Jason Sudeikis as Ted Lasso grow, but everyone else, and yeah, it's a really good one.
Yeah, I really like the development between like the relationships that Ted Lasso, you know, as a character builds with his team as a coach because, you know, coming into like I had an experience when I was in middle school when I was on a basketball team and we actually had the female volleyball coach the basketball team. So learning a new sport that maybe you're not as familiar with as a coach is an experience that I've seen somebody go through. So it was cool to like see it up on the screen in a different way, you know, talking about football and American football. And it definitely, I mean, it's well acted, it's fun to watch, and there's a lot of different parts of it that are kind of, you know, it's got something for everybody, I think. Anybody else have anything to add?
I would also say it shows a good portrayal of people dealing like just therapy and like going to therapy and how it can be beneficial. For example, football is life, and then football was death, and then football was life again. It's lovely. If anyone has seen the show, you should know that.
Football is life. Football is also death. All right, well, I guess moving on to my other pick, we have Remember the Titans. Now, this movie actually has a personal connection to me because when I first watched it, in the climax of the movie, the main team faces off against a little-known high school team, that being Hayfield High School. And if you're wondering, Hayfield Secondary School in Hayfield, Virginia, is where I went to middle school. So that school is the one that they actually go up against in the movie, which is just a really interesting fact. Anyways, Remember the Titans is about is it one of the first or the first high school like integrated football teams back in like civil rights era, so 60s. It has been a while since I've seen the movie, but like it's a really good movie. It's definitely like serious, but I don't know. It doesn't feel like you don't watch it and you're just like, oh, I hate humanity, like some serious movies, which is nice. But yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those, you know, when you talk about American football movies, it's one of the first ones that comes to mind for a lot of people. It's got a lot of cultural significance and, you know, a lot of notoriety because it's so good. And it's, again, another well-acted film, something that, like, people really do enjoy and watch a lot. Football films, there's a ton of them, you know, from everything from, you know, we don't mention all of them here, but The Waterboy, and then you have, there's just so many. There's a ton of them. I can't conjure any more in my brain right now, but Remember the Titans, The Blind Side is another one around football. There's a lot of different ones, but this is definitely one that sits apart for a lot of people, that people just come back to.
I remember when I was a kid and I watched it, it just, like, it was one of those feel-good movies, and I didn't expect, you know, because when I was that young, I wasn't into football or anything like that, and so I wasn't expecting to kind of walk away really loving it, and then I ended up really liking it, and I would watch it all the time, but I haven't seen it in a while, so I guess that's one I might want to go back and revisit.
Yeah, I haven't seen this one in a while too. I was very young, but I Denzel Washington's great in it, and I think it does a great job of kind of intertwining human life and also football. And yeah, I think it's one whenever I see like football players, like NFL players, ask what their favorite football movie is, this one is definitely on the top of the charts.
Well, moving on, we have Ford versus Ferrari in the race to see who can build the faster car, which is lovely.
Sam?
I actually have not seen this. I'm like slacking. I am very much slacking. I'm definitely going to. I'm going to see if it's somewhere where I don't have to pay. But it's one that I've been wanting to watch for a little while. But I have not seen it.
Don't worry, guys. That's on. Sam and I have a list of race car related movies that we want to watch. And so that is on our list, and we will be watching it very shortly. It's one of actually my favorite movies because it incorporates competition in the sense of they're literally racing cars, but they're also racing to have the best car. And so I really like that it just shows all the sides of it. Plus, it's really fun watching the car develop and everything like that.
Yeah, it's definitely one that I watched this one with my dad, and we just love this one. But since sounds like we're running kind of low on time, I'm going to briefly go into Miracle. Miracle is one of those that, like, for me when I was watching sports movies, and finally got around to it, that was like a top pick. Being from Minnesota, where a lot of, the guys on that Olympic team, it's another historical sports film that people love, and especially Minnesotans thinking about Miracle. But again, really great portrayal of a fantastic coach historically, who had incredible impact on the sport as a whole and on, Olympians from the U.S. And national, international hockey. It's just such it's a really cool portrayal of a really unique time in history and a really significant historical event in the sport of hockey.
I would agree. And now on to some of our sillier picks of lovely adaptations of sports, like Happy Gilmore, a hockey player who then ended up doing, golf because money. Everyone needs money eventually, I would say.
Does a golf player make more than a hockey player?
He was making more because he was, quote, winning. He wasn't winning the tournaments. You just got money if you got into them and participated. So, he just did that. And he improved over time, which was lovely. It's a very funny movie.
Yeah, I grew up watching this one, which I don't know if it's like the greatest thing to say, but this was like a childhood favorite of my dad's, and I watch it with him and my family a lot. And yeah, I just think it's like fun. Like, I like golf a lot now, so it's kind of funny putting in perspective like how like outrageous like what was in this movie really, and how he was able to drive greens that were over like 450 yards. So yeah, but it's a really fun one, and yeah, I like it a lot.
Yeah, it's definitely it's a super silly film, and I mean, it's got Adam Sandler playing, a dejected hockey player who doesn't have a career in hockey and, turns to golf and finds out, it's funny because I saw a video talking about, asking hockey players, hey, if you can't talk about hockey, what is one thing that you can talk about a ton? And you can't say golf or gambling. And they were speechless. So, looking at
in a hockey player's brain at any given point.
Right? It's so funny. But again, it's got a similar humor to Dodgeball, one of our other picks, which is one that, hasn't aged super, super well, but it's one of those that I think people still think is really funny, and it's lighthearted and, solid quotes like, if you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball.
Mm-hmm. It made me scared of dodgeball because I thought it got more intense as you got older. It doesn't. It did in my family, though, because obviously we would play dodgeball as kids, and because my brother's 6'2", pelting me, tiny me, was very much so easy for him.
I feel like I'm the only person in the universe who liked when we played dodgeball in gym, because that means we didn't have to do much, and we didn't have to run around the track or do some weird athletic thing. We just got to throw balls at each other.
I got hit in the head repeatedly, so I did not like it. That's also why I didn't like basketball. So maybe just because I'm uncoordinated.
That's why I no longer do baseball.
Sure. So one of the ones that I picked was She's the Man. If I'm being completely honest, I find it kind of cringy, but it's also kind of a fun movie. Really quick, it's about someone's in high school. I don't remember the character's name, but she plays soccer, but their team gets cut, the women's team gets cut, so she goes and basically takes her brother's place, I think at college. Or maybe it's still high school. Yes. Boarding school. Yeah. And she just dresses up as a man and for a long time throughout the movie, pretends to just be a man for the whole time so that she can still play soccer. But eventually she is caught, but she just uses the opportunity to play soccer still.
Yes and no. She does get caught, but then her brother comes in and replaces her and proves that he is a man. I don't need to elaborate on that. Along with it, did give rise to Channing Tatum's career overall, which is lovely. Along with Amanda Bynes did speak out about gender dysphoria after filming for it, which I felt really bad about because she did not like playing a dude. But other than that, it is a hysterical film overall.
And the last one.
Cool Runnings.
Yeah, we have Cool Runnings, which is, again, another really heartwarming one. It's one of those where you get inspirational coaches, you know, that really show their inspiration. You know, something that a lot of coaches try to emulate is that, you know, inspiring sort of feeling. And this is one that's, again, it's one that I watch with my dad, and we really love this one. It's on Disney Plus, so it's one that I definitely like. If you are somebody who has streaming services, it's one to watch for sure. If you just want a feel-good movie, you know, heartwarming, feel-good, minus some of the serious. But yeah.
This is a movie that my family quotes far too often. Like, in the middle of anything, my little brother plays hockey, and even before he'll go out on the rink for hockey, my dad will yell at him, "It's bobsled time!" Because we just, like, take things from this movie, and that's our family's way of saying don't give up. And, I mean, I love this movie. I watch it every single year, so.
Awesome. Well, that's all we have for you tonight.
Join me and Ned next week for your latest news, updates, and weather.
And tune in to Real Talk for a look at some holiday movies by going to mytv10.uwec.edu.
Check us out on UWTV10 on Instagram and on TikTok.
And subscribe to our channel on YouTube. I'm Marissa Day.
I'm Ben Dobazinski.
I'm Mia Pearson.
And I'm Samantha Burnett. Thank you and good night.
Why are you still here? The show's over. Go home.